Okay. Hey, Sharona. Let me see if I can get you in. Let's see. Hey, we did it. We did good. I thought it was
Oh my
going to take a while.
goodness. I know. Oh my God. I can't believe it looks good.
Yes, it does. Okay,
Hopefully. Yeah. Okay.
all right, good. All right, I was going to wait a few seconds, see if we have anybody else joining.
Okay.
And if not, we can go on and get started. How is it in New York?
Oh, it's good. It's hot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's hot. About time.
Okay. It's hot here.
Yeah. Well, we just got our heat because it's been like cold for a while. Like we just got it, like spring just came for us.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So look,
So
it's
yeah.
spring for y'all and summer already for us.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
All right. So I guess we can go on and get started. So
Okay.
um, yeah. So today's topic is growing together while apart. But first, I go on and introduce myself. I'm Danielle Still Williams. I've been a prison wife. Well, I'm a former prison wife. I was a prison wife for 14 years, and my husband was released back in February. So we went from one obstacle, and now we're not facing, but we're going through the reentry process. So I just want to first take the time to thank those of you who followed the page and have followed our story for your prayers and your support. And before I forget, it is Memorial Day. So I salute those who have served our country. We salute you on this day, this Memorial Day. All right. So we have Sharona Stone joining us today. And Sharona is a prison wife for how long, Sharona?
7.5 years.
7.5 years. And I say prison wife, but of course, we're more than just prison wives, okay?
Right.
All right.
Exactly.
Hey, Stephanie, thanks for joining. So, let me just tell you briefly how me and Sharona met. So there was, I think it was Wall Street that reached out and asked for stories from prison wives. And
Hmm.
once I talked to Sharona through Messenger, because one thing is, we as prison wives, you often feel alone because of the stigma that comes with it. So
Hmm.
we go to the internet looking for support. And we follow each other and support each other, talk to each other. And that was the first time we met was through Messenger. And Sharona ended up sharing her story on my blog, the for the lives of prisonwives.com. And when I read her story, I think, what was the name of it, Sharona?
There's power in waiting.
Yes, the power in waiting. The power in waiting was
Yeah.
like, I was, oh my God, this is so similar to mine. We have some of the same, emotions, same things
Hmm.
that happen. And, um, I just felt a connection to her already. So we kept saying that we're going to talk, we're going to talk. To make long story short, we finally did. And when we talked, it's like we just knew each other. we
Yes.
we talked for a good while about just some of our experiences as a prison wife. And one of the things that we wanted to do, we knew we wanted to share a topic, but we just had a basic conversation, just a real genuine conversation about growing together. And Sharona said, sometimes I really feared that I would outgrow my husband through this process. And we just started talking about it. And I said, you know what? This is something that probably a lot of wives, and not just wives, um, other people that are incarcerated, you have husbands and other family members, and us out here, life goes on, but it's kind of stagnant for them. So as it
Mhm.
goes on for us, it's like, are we leaving them behind? And that was her fear. Um, life is
Yes.
moving on. So, what were some of the things that you thought you would outgrow? But how would you outgrow your husband? How did you think you would outgrow your husband?
Um, my biggest fear was because I was moving forward in the things that I wanted to do. And like, as far as, well, of course, career wise, I mean, our career levels is, of course, going to be different because he's in prison. But by me, I think it was more as I was growing and going back to school, it was personal growth. I was also growing, you know, I was growing spiritually faster. I was growing, mentally, um as far as like, you know, me obtaining certain resources out here, and just being my success level. I was afraid to be successful and explore more and not look at him differently. That was my thing. Yeah, I'm trying to get like the right,
Right. Hmm.
pinpoint the right feeling to that. But I didn't want to look at him differently. I didn't want to I feared that I may get too above myself and then I'm looking at him like he's beneath
Right.
me,
And that
per
makes
se.
because I do remember specifically my husband was like, just treat me like you did when I was out there, and that's
Right.
I think that's the
Yeah,
they want. It's like, just because you're moving on out here, it's not like, oh well, he's just in prison. He's
absolutely.
still
Yeah.
that person, and
Yeah.
we have to keep that in our mind as we do move along. And that's the whole purpose of this is moving them along with us, even though they're in there. So
Yes.
that
Mhm.
and that can be like a difficult task.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I know you said career wise. Any other ways?
Um, that was basically it. Hello.
Hey, yeah, career wise. Okay, and I know you did mention
Spiritually.
spiritually. Yeah.
Spiritually, yes, yes, spiritually. Because because the first 2 years, we went through a lot, the first 2 years. So once I started, I had to go through a healing process within myself. So once I started, like, go through my healing process, because I was a broken woman. So I had to go through a healing process. So once I started to heal, and then I didn't have, when my husband left, I didn't have a high school diploma. Yeah, as we discussed before, I didn't have a high school
Hmm.
diploma. So when I was decided to go, I was like, you know what, when he left, I couldn't have the job that I used to because now it was mainly on me taking care of the children. And I'm like, I can't, I need to do something with myself. So now I started my healing process. I started going back to school. I started also seeking the word more. And as growing, I'm seeing more. I'm seeing more. I know more. I'm starting to travel, and I feel like I'm leaving him behind. And I was like, I feel like I'm leaving him by. Then that fear start to come right there of me outgrowing him and me falling out of love with him, because now I'm exploring and I'm seeing more and I'm doing all this. I'm building myself up. So yeah, that was it. That was a crazy feeling. It was like to go through at that time.
And I think that's very important that you said you have to heal yourself. And that's uh, not only is your husband broken, all of us are imperfect. So I just
Yes,
believe everybody has, especially at the point of, that we are in our lives, you experience some brokenness along the way somewhere. So there's
absolutely.
always room to heal. And what better time than, I'm just going to keep it real, a man in your life, when you have him away, you can focus on yourself more. You, when you
Absolutely.
might have children, but that's your time with children, your time devoted to him, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Not that you're glad he's away, but
Right.
don't that. But since he is not there, now you can actually turn some of that time that you would be giving him towards yourself. It's not that you're forgetting him,
Mm-hmm.
and don't feel guilty, But I feel like once you grow yourself, you'll be better to him and the children and everybody else, you know.
Absolutely.
Right. So
Yes.
it is important that first you work on you, even if you don't think he's moving yet.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Hmm.
And that's why I say that there's power in waiting.
Right.
There's so much advantage that you have in this waiting period. You have the ability to really build yourself and become whole as a woman, so that wholeness, it regardless of what, you're doing this, you're outgrowing him, you're doing this time, whether he's here or not, you still are, you're still this woman per se.
Hmm.
You're still, you don't, you're still all together as a woman. You're
Right.
focusing on self. Self supposed to come first, regardless. You need
Hmm.
self to order to handle, because this is an emotional,
Roller.
this,
Yes.
yes, it's an emotional roller coaster during this time. But in order to deal with this, you need yourself intact,
Right.
right, to order to deal with it. So it's very important that you have to work on self first in order to take care of everything else.
And like you said, in working on self for me, and I know for you too, that was
Mm-hmm.
spiritually, you know, um, my belief in God and yours as well, helped
Mm-hmm.
us, not only helped us individually, but once we were able to pray for our husbands, that's when
Mm.
it's like, okay, I'm not leaving him alone. But at the same time, that can be difficult because you're
Yeah.
growing and you're wanting to see the change take place right then. And it's like,
Right.
okay, well, here I am. Why you still back there? And then you
Yeah.
frustrated. Then,
Yeah.
hold
Yeah.
on, wait. Okay, um, I've got to trust God in this process. I
Absolutely.
got to let
Yeah.
him handle him and I got to step back.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is so true.
And it is not
Yeah.
easy. It was not easy. And it's still not easy to this day because there are moments where, I just feel like if it's not a prison relationship, there are times where it's difficult for you just to move out the way and let God do what he's supposed to do.
Absolutely.
Even though
Yeah.
you may not see it, but okay, he's working.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was another thing, because I felt like I was outgrowing him, so now I'm
Shariki.
pushing him
Mm-hmm.
in there, and I'm like, well, even though he was interacting in programs, now I'm telling him, well, you should go back to school. Now I'm making him feel like he's not doing enough,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So then that can cause him to also feel insecure, in ways that he's not, now that I'm moving forward in minds that he's not enough, and that can also cause some type of behaviors in the midst and
Mm-hmm.
not trusting his process, because we all have our own unique process that God is taking us through.
Right.
And my growth is not going to be on the same time as his growth, and I had to understand that,
Mm-hmm.
like, he has his own process. God has a way with him to show him certain things, and he may have to show him something before he stepped forward into another process.
Right.
So I can't hinder that, as long as he's progressing in his own way.
Exactly. And you can
Per se.
not I don't like to say monitor, but you can see that you'll be able to know, you'll be able to tell when certain things start to change, when certain answers
Mhm.
are different, you know, uh,
Yeah.
especially if you truly know the person. And where was I? It was some oh yes. You said to feel insecure. It's also important. Sharona might have to add her back. It's also important to not force it. because forcing is something else that makes the relationship even more difficult. And this is just not, like I said, this is not for just prison wives. This is husbands. Honestly, it's for any type of relationship. When you try to force anything on anybody, it seems like the natural reaction is to go in the opposite direction. Hold on, y'all. Let me see if I can get it back. I don't know. You were doing so good. Hmm. I don't know what happened. Oh, here we go. Got it. Yeah, but thanks y'all. Thank y'all for joining. Thank you for watching. All right.
Hello.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I just got kicked off. I was like, oh yeah. It was
Okay.
just like thumbs out.
Yeah, I was just saying how difficult it can be once you try to force it. You can't
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
you can't
Yeah.
force it. That's almost like the worst thing you can do. So
Yeah. That's true. That's so true.
all right. And the other thing, I guess we pretty much covered that. I've said don't force it, be patient. And you can do some things together, you know. What are some of the things that you all do together?
Um, One thing is that we do is I always send like a book. We always read the same book.
Mm-hmm.
Not always read the same book, but I send if it's certain books that have something to do with I'm just going to throw an example out there. How to make six figures. I will also send him that too because it is not that he can't learn either how to make six figures. I don't, and that's another thing I used to do. Like, oh, well, this doesn't contain him because he's in there. So I start sending him books that materials that also that I will read that will benefit me out here. And also, he could read inside there. And
Mm-hmm.
we'll collaborate on it. So it doesn't make him
Right.
feel left out.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah, that's some things, like you said, just some of the things that you're interested in, some of the things that y'all are interested in together, and
yeah,
use that phone time to talk about it through text, through letters, and that's ways that you continue to move forward together. Nobody's saying that you'll ever
mhm,
be identical, you know, with your growth, and maybe you will get there. Who knows? But just
right.
don't set the expectations so high, you know.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. That's so true. You have to remove the expectations because once you remove the expectations, then you won't get disappointed,
Right.
right? So if you remove the expectations, you won't get disappointed. You're gonna have expectations to a certain degree, like you said, but don't have high expectations for for your loved one, for your husband or your boyfriend in there because he's moving at a different pace. We're out here in society, we're constantly moving. We're more accessible to resources, we're more accessible to do things,
Right.
and he's moving at his pace. And also he has things in there that's also a hindrance,
Right.
with certain things that go on there that we don't even know.
And we would
We just
know.
exactly, and they don't even share,
Right.
all of that, So, and that's something that just
Mm-hmm.
being understanding in this process.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Sharona. And I was just gonna read a few of the comments. Let's see. Christina. Hi, Christina. She said, "Thank you, ladies, for coming on. We need more of this." And Kimberly Carr, I've seen him grow a lot in 2 years spiritually. I do worry about an education level difference. But yeah, that's just basically, I think, like Sharona was saying, you know, choose books together, choose certain things that you can do together, and make sure you
Mhm.
talk about it. Whatever
Yeah.
questions you may have, answer those questions, or you can't answer them, see how you can get more resources to him, you know, for those things that he's interested in.
Absolutely.
And then she said, but he brings different intellectual things to the table that, and that's another thing. One thing I've realized is just because, someone's in prison, just being able to maneuver that process right there brings about experience, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So just in talking to my husband and other people, they learn the different ways and just how to watch people and learn people that they can apply out here when they come out here. So yeah, they're learning from us and we're learning from them.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
And
That's so
my
true.
husband is my best teacher, and I'm so fortunate for that. That's
That's beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah. Taking in like I'm laughing because my husband, he sometimes he say, just because I'm in here, that don't mean that I don't know.
Right,
So that's always, just embracing, because that don't mean that they're not
right.
educated, they're not smart, and then
Yes.
you know,
Yeah,
and and I felt that, when he said that, I was like, no, I didn't mean that, and I was like, dang, I feel bad, I feel really bad when he said that, and I was like, no, I didn't mean that at all.
right. All right. Do we have any more questions before we sign off?
And I also wanted to say, like, before we get on that, as a marriage in general, whether in here or out, you are one as a
Mhm.
marriage, but you're also an individual.
Right.
So you're traveling on the same journey,
Mm-hmm.
but just in different lanes, per se. Like
Right.
he's in one lane and you're in the next lane, but it's all on the same journey. So I think sometimes it's us, we may, or some people may forget that you're also an individual
Mm-hmm.
in your marriage. You're also an individual. Praying together, yes. Praying together
Oh,
is what you
okay.
meant.
Yes, Kimberly had mentioned praying together, but yes, Sharon, right. You can be in different lanes. Like I said, the GPS can take you in different routes, but you can get to the same destination.
Absolutely. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's so true. Yeah. And that is so important
Mm-hmm.
to know.
All right. So we'll just wrap it up with be patient. Don't
Yes.
do things together. Self help.
Mhm.
Pray. Educational. Oh yeah, I did leave that out. Praise your partner when you notice the progress. Make sure you
Yes.
acknowledge the progress that they make,
Yes. That is so true.
and continue
Yeah.
to grow individually.
Absolutely. And praising your partner on the things that he do in there is so important. Continuously encourage him, on the things that if he complete his program, oh, congratulations, I'm so proud of you. Continuously telling him that you are proud of him regardless of what, because he's fighting through despite of his circumstances that he got to face day to day in there, he's still pushing through,
Right.
you know, and
Mm-hmm.
that's a good thing. He's still pushing through throughout all of that. Listen,
Yeah.
that's strength and that's power, and that's something to be praised
It is.
just by pushing through.
It is. So just take it one day at a time, ladies. One day.
Right, exactly.
All right. Thanks, Sharona, for joining us. And where can they find you on Instagram?
Well, they can find me on my regular page, Sharona Stone. I'm up there time to time giving encouraging words. Or on Instagram, it's same thing, Sharona Stone.
All right. Yeah, thanks, Sharona. And I have a support group for the lives of prison wives, loyal ladies Facebook group. IG at for lives underscore prison wives, and I just started a YouTube for the lives of prison wives. Twitter, I'm not that good at, but it's FL underscore prison wives. Y'all for joining us.